The second I parked my brand new Rolls-Royce, she was already watching me. Before I could even step out, HOA President Karen stormed over, accusing me of stealing my own car. She called the police, said I didn't look like I belonged. She didn't know I was a millionaire tech entrepreneur who just bought the house legally. But what happened next? She got arrested in front of the entire neighborhood. And the footage? It changed everything.
The moment I parked my brand new Rolls-Royce Ghost in the driveway of my new home, I knew I was being watched. I hadn't even turned off the engine when I spotted her in my rearview mirror, a middle-aged woman with a severe blonde bob and designer sunglasses, storming across the cul-de-sac like she was on a mission. Her pastel cardigan flapped in the breeze as she power-walked directly toward my vehicle, her face contorted in what I can only describe as preemptive outrage. "Excuse me," she shouted, loud enough that I could hear her through the closed windows of my car. "Who are you, and what are you doing with that vehicle?" I stepped out calmly, keys in hand. "Hi there, I'm Jason, the new homeowner at 1542. Just moving in today." She looked me up and down with naked skepticism, her eyes lingering on my casual attire, jeans and a simple button-up shirt. Nothing about me apparently screamed Rolls-Royce owner to her. "That's impossible," she declared, folding her arms. "The Millers sold to a young professional. You're barely out of high school." "I'm 21, actually," I replied with a polite smile. "And yes, I bought the Miller place last month. The paperwork just finalized." Her eyes narrowed as she circled my car like a shark. "Nobody your age can afford this car unless they've stolen it. I'm calling the police right now. We don't tolerate criminals in Oakwood Estates." Before I could respond, she had her phone out, dramatically dialing 911 while maintaining intense eye contact with me, as if daring me to flee the scene of my supposed crime. I leaned against my car and waited. This wasn't exactly the welcome wagon I'd expected, but I dealt with enough skepticism about my success to know better than to lose my cool. As president of a successful tech startup that had just been acquired for 8 figures, I'd grown accustomed to being underestimated because of my age. "Yes, officer," she was saying into her phone, her voice pitched to carry across the entire cul-de-sac. "There's a suspicious young man with a Rolls-Royce that cannot possibly belong to him. I believe we have a ground theft auto situation at 1542 Oakwood Drive. Please hurry before he escapes." I sighed and pulled out my own phone, sending a quick text to my assistant about the delay. This was going to be a longer move-in day than I had anticipated. The self-appointed neighborhood watchdog ended her call with a triumphant smile. "The police will be here any minute. I suggest you don't try to leave." "I'm not going anywhere," I assured her. "This is my house and my car. But I don't believe I caught your name." "I'm Karen Wellington," she announced with unmistakable pride, "president of the Oakwood Estates Homeowners Association for 6 consecutive terms, and you definitely don't look like a homeowner in our community." Of course her name was Karen. The universe apparently had a sense of humor. "Well, Karen, I assure you, I am the legal owner of both this home and this vehicle," I said, retrieving my wallet to show her my identification. "Would you like to see the deed to the house as well? I have digital copies of everything." She waved away my driver's license without even glancing at it. "I've seen plenty of fake IDs in my time. The Oakwood HOA has a strict vetting process for new residents, and I don't recall approving anyone who looks like you." By looks like you, I had a sinking feeling she wasn't just referring to my age. Karen was eyeing my brown skin with the same suspicion she'd given my car. I took a deep breath and reminded myself that her bias was her problem, not mine. "The Housing Association doesn't approve individual buyers, Karen. That's not how real estate transactions work," I explained calmly. "The previous owners accepted my offer, my financing cleared, and the sale closed legally. I'm now a resident of Oakwood Estates, whether the HOA president personally approved me or not." Karen's face flushed an alarming shade of red. "We'll see about that, and we'll certainly see about that car. No 21-year-old has that kind of money."
Drained of color. That's completely taken out of context. I was merely expressing concern about maintaining our community standards. The older officer turned back to me. Sir, your documentation appears to be in order. I apologize for the inconvenience. He handed back my license and registration. You're free to continue moving into your new home. Then he turned to Karen, his demeanor noticeably less cordial. Mrs. Wellington, may I speak with you privately for a moment? As they stepped away, I could see Karen's animated gestures becoming increasingly frantic. The younger officer remained nearby, apologizing again for the disruption to my move-in day. No problem, officer, I assured him. I understand you were just responding to a call. More neighbors had gathered, and I noticed several were giving Karen disapproving looks rather than me. The tide had shifted dramatically. After several minutes of conversation, the older officer took out his notepad and began writing something. Karen's voice suddenly rose several octaves. You cannot be serious. I was performing my civic duty. I'm the president of the HOA. What happened next left everyone on the street in shock. The older officer calmly recited Miranda rights to Karen, who stood frozen in disbelief. Karen Wellington, you're being placed under arrest for filing a false police report and for verbal harassment with discriminatory intent. Both are misdemeanors in this state. This is outrageous, Karen shrieked, as the officer gently but firmly guided her toward the patrol car. I was protecting our community. This is reverse discrimination. I'll have your badge for this. Her protestations grew louder as the reality of her situation sank in. I didn't mean anything by it. I was just being cautious. You can't arrest someone for being careful. The neighbors watched in stunned silence as Karen, who had terrorized the community with petty rule enforcement and threats for years, was placed in the back of a police cruiser. Her final words before the door closed were, "This is a misunderstanding. Call my attorney." A week later, I received an official letter from the Oakwood Estates Homeowners Association. Karen had been immediately suspended from her position, pending a formal vote. The emergency meeting resulted in her permanent removal from the board with a unanimous decision of 27-0. Additionally, she faced legal consequences, a $5,000 fine for the false police report and mandatory community service hours. According to neighborhood gossip, her real estate firm had placed her on administrative leave after multiple clients requested not to work with her. When I ran into her at the local grocery store, her previously imperious demeanor had vanished. She actively avoided eye contact, her face flushing with embarrassment as she abandoned her shopping cart and hurried toward the exit. The neighborhood tyrant's reign had ended with a simple consequence of her own actions, and the visible shock on her face as she fled the store told me she still couldn't believe her authority had crumbled so completely. Sometimes, standing your ground means letting the truth speak louder than rage. Karen thought her position gave her power, but all it took was one doorbell camera and her own words to bring her down. She lost her job, her status, and her grip on the community. As for me, I got to enjoy my new home in peace, no clipboard in sight. Have you ever seen someone abuse power the way Karen did? How would you have handled this situation? Let me know in the comments. Was justice served, or should there have been more? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more wild HOA stories. See you in the next one.